Interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. It's our first show of the new year, Tony. What's your resolution?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. I want to become even more humble.
There we have it.
Either that or stop stealing the packages off the next guy's stoop. Either that, one of those.
That's like the commercial where the guy stole the cotton candy from the kid in the ballpark.
I love that commercial.
I don't make any resolutions ever.
Why?
Because I'm not going to keep them.
Really?
No, I don't.
Don't you want to make yourself less angry this year?
No.
I'm waiting to see if you're going to be less angry. You're too angry.
I like it. Combative.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Steelers nip the Ravens. College football's Final Four is set, and Pete Carroll leads the list of NFL coaches to get the boot. But we begin today with the number one seeds in the upcoming NFL playoffs. Seattle got the number one seed in the NFC by smothering San Francisco in San Francisco on Saturday. Denver got the number one seed in the AFC by dispatching the Chargers yesterday, a Chargers team that rested multiple starters, including Justin Herbert. Wilbon, which number one seed looks stronger to you?
Oh, Seattle. Seattle. You know, I've been on Seattle since the trade.
That's right. That's right.
No. Seattle looks like the real deal. Seattle, a week after the 49ers had scored 200 points in that shootout with the Bears, Seattle said, have some of this. And they're starting to look like the Legion of Boom. They are. They're starting to, not necessarily the same style, don't have the big hitting in the secondary that those teams, Richard Sherman's teams had. But I tell you what, Tony, I like Seattle. Now, I know a lot of people out there, me included, were waiting for Sam Darnold to sort of turn into Sam Darnold. But that hasn't happened. And I'm not rooting against him. I think Sam Darnold, even some games where he hasn't played great, he hasn't taken his team out of it. So I'm not looking for a redux of Minnesota last year. And I think if Sam Darnold is pretty good, Seattle can win the whole thing.
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with you on Seattle because it's the correct answer. They look stronger at the moment relative to their opposition than Denver does relative to that.
Yes.
And what they did, they obliterated a 49ers offense that had scored over 40 2 weeks in a row. And in fact, had gone 37, 48, 42 in 3 games. They held them to 3. So, yeah, I would say that I'm not going to talk about confidence, but I would say Seattle looks like that team. But there's a caveat here. And there's a caveat that we have talked about all year long, which is every time we identify a team that looks like the front runner, particularly in the NFC, they lose the next game.
They go, oops.
Green Bay, Philadelphia, the Rams,
early.
the 49ers, even Seattle losing to the Rams 8 weeks ago, same thing happened. And by the way,
that was a close game. There was no collapse.
the defense was great, but they only scored 13 points. I mean, that's all they scored was 13. So I don't have a lot of confidence in Seattle, except for this one weird sociological fact. Stay with me on this one. In 2005, there was a new pope, Pope Benedict.
Okay.
That year, Seattle went to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
In 2013, again, a new pope, Pope Francis. That year, Seattle won the Super Bowl. Hello, Leo. I'm just saying, hello, Leo, this could happen
this
again.
Pope is from the south side of Chicago.
I understand.
So we're not having that Seattle stuff. I don't want to hear about them. They're an interesting, I think people look at it and they don't want to believe that Seattle's legit number one. And Denver, I'm trying to look at Denver, and do I believe if Denver and New England play, no matter where that game is, and it would be in Denver, that Denver would somehow have an advantage? I don't know. I think Bo Nix is better than people are giving him credit for being.
I look differently.
He doesn't have to be
I
John
look differently
Elway.
at the AFC because of the surprise teams like Jacksonville, like New England, like
Jacksonville
like
and Houston.
Okay.
Whoa.
So to me, and I root for Buffalo. I know you told me this morning you think Buffalo's going out in the first round.
Right out.
So other than the Chargers, who I don't think are a team that can win the Super Bowl,
right,
it would not surprise me if any of the AFC teams got there, or if they went out early.
Agree.
Or if they went out early.
Agree. For different reasons. In the NFC as well, and beyond the number one seeds, we had a number of really compelling outcomes. Among them, the Steelers beating the Ravens in that frantic finish, featuring a Steelers missed extra point and a Ravens missed 44-yard field goal that would have won the damn game. And the Eagles surrendered the NFC's second seed to the Bears by losing to your Commanders.
Not mine.
Well,
not mine.
Tony, outside those number one seeds, the biggest result to you is what?
So the temptation is to say the Steelers beating the Ravens to get into the playoffs. A game that was pretty dull for a half and then had one of the great fourth quarters anybody has ever seen, where both teams scored 2 touchdowns. As you say, an extra point is missed by a guy who hadn't missed since 2023, right? Setting up the possibility of a game-winning field goal. The Ravens get in position for that. The kid misses a 44-yard field goal. And I think a lot of people heard that voice in their head saying, well, what if they had Justin Tucker? Okay. But let me go back to the Steelers for a second.
Falling off before his fall off.
I don't think the Steelers are going to win any playoff games. I don't think they're a threat. Much as I don't think Carolina, which didn't even win over the weekend, are going to win any playoff games. Tampa Bay has to sit there and watch as they get hosed by Atlanta. So you get
Tampa Bay had lost 7 of 8.
I understand, but they won that game. So you have Carolina winning a division, getting a home playoff game with an 8-9 record. How do you think that sits with the Rams and with the 49ers?
It's terrible. Every few years.
Well, okay. So if you're asking me what's the biggest result, I might actually say the Eagles losing. The Eagles decide to rest players.
Yeah.
They lose. They play Washington. A team doesn't even belong on the same field with them, and they lose that game. That allows the Bears, your Bears, who also lost, to keep the number 2. And if I'm not mistaken, it sets up the possibility of the Eagles having to go to Chicago in the second round, whereas they could have had that at home.
There have been some eventful games between the Bears and the Eagles in the playoffs in Chicago over the years. The Fog Bowl, double doink.
Oh, is that?
Yeah,
oh,
so
okay.
we sort of 1-1 in those situations. Tony, the biggest outcome was Steelers-Ravens. It was because of the drama and the people involved. Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Mike Tomlin, Harbaugh, the people involved in what their futures could be or not. I was hanging on every single development of that game. And I think that the Ravens ought to feel bad because they should have been in control of the game. It should have been more than 10-3 when it was 10-3.
Yeah.
They, of course, missed the field goal at the end of the game. I feel bad for him, both kickers, because they got to live with that stuff. Kickers have to live with it. It's worse than missing a big putt because it's still your putt is just you. You've let your entire locker room down.
Yeah, when you miss
the entire city, Steeler Nation, Raven Nation, whatever that garbage is. I think that was the game. The Bears and Eagles are interesting. One, the Eagles can win wherever they play. They don't need home field. They don't.
No,
I think the Bears do.
They've proven that over time.
They've proven it. They can be champs again.
And
then we're all of these people who spent all season dissecting every little thing about the Eagles, where they're going to hide then.
I'll just tell you this one thing, and it's way off topic. The New York Jets are a terrible team.
Yeah.
They had no interceptions this year. They have a defensive head coach.
Ever.
How is it possible?
The damnedest stat ever.
17 games, no interceptions.
The Bears have one dude with 7 or 8 interceptions.
That's unbelievable.
One guy.
When I heard that, I honestly couldn't believe it. Let's move to college football and the ongoing playoffs. This week, we will see Miami play Ole Miss and Indiana play Oregon. Miami got there by beating Ohio State soundly. Ole Miss beat Georgia in a thrilling game. Indiana pounded Alabama 38-3, and Oregon shut out Texas Tech 23-0. Wilbon, which of the 4 final teams had the most impressive win?
Indiana. And I could say Miami. Miami's legit. If you want to answer anybody want to answer Miami, give that as an answer to that question, I'm fine with that. Because Miami, Miami, who certain people didn't even have in the playoffs.
No, where? The College Football Committee didn't have them in the playoffs for 5 straight weeks.
Yeah, but you wanted Notre Dame in there.
Yes. Do I think Miami's legit? Of course I do.
Okay.
But if I'm Notre Dame, I'm thinking, wow, we could have done this too.
Well, they couldn't have.
You hate Notre Dame.
So beating Ohio State like that.
Going out early, 14-0.
But Indiana.
Yeah, you're right.
Clubbing.
It's Indiana.
Battering Alabama. And you knew what was going to happen. 2 weeks after they said, oh, it's fine. Kalen DeBoer, he's fine here. He's not going to Michigan. We don't want him to go anywhere. You knew when they got beat down like that, that debate was going to start anew.
So you're right. It's Indiana. Indiana was the only bye team to win. Indiana is the only bye team over 2 years.
7 out of 8 losses.
2 years to win. So something is wrong there. You cannot ask a team to sit out for 25 to 30 days and then play a team, a top 10 team that just won the week before. So you got to go to 16. We don't want it, but you got to go to 16. There's no other choice in this. It's definitely Indiana. Much like you, I'm sure, I root for the story because I'm a sports writer. I think a final between Indiana and Ole Miss is the proper final because the stories are so good. Indiana was the worst team in college football for 80 years, right? And Ole Miss, with a coach nobody ever heard of, named Golding, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
If they were to win the national championship, so that the old coach, Lane Kiffin, is sitting in a chair at LSU,
I'm rooting for
watching it, right?
Yeah.
Watching it.
Yes.
Because he went to LSU because he thought it would be a better place, an easier place to win a championship. The irony of that would be spectacular.
It would be. It would be. But the reason I'm rooting for Miami, a couple of reasons. One, I know you and I know a lot of former Miami players. We like them.
Well, Michael Irvin is on the sidelines hugging everybody in sight.
We know we've known these guys for forever, Vinny Testaverde, for a long, long time. But Tony, Miami once upon a time was James Madison. I know because I covered their ascension. And so people like you who don't really want James Madison in. You don't you don't think there's any Cinderella quality like there is to the basketball tournament. I do.
I don't think the U was ever that.
Oh, the U was indeed that.
You were there. The same thing.
I was side by side with you. So what are you saying?
No.
Howard Schnellenberger, nobody had that.
They very quickly accepted and hated it. They stayed there. Can I ask you one question about your Big Ten boy, Kirk Cignetti?
Yeah.
Why is he so angry all the time? Why are his eyebrows in a permanent scowl? Of course you do, because you're angry all the time. When you ask him a question, his answer is basically this: "What are you doing asking me that question?"
No.
I love him. He runs it up. I love him. He coaches to win. He coaches to win and win big. I like that. Do you know what he allegedly said when he was introduced at the Indiana press conference, the original one? I win. Google me.
Yeah,
Let's take a break. Yeah. Coming up, were today's firings of NFL head coaches deserved?
And what's the word for the sack that got Myles Garrett that single season record?
Don't tell me that Vinny Testaverde and Bernie Kosar and Michael Irvin and people like that were ever James Madison, because they weren't. Big time.
The program wasn't big time. It wasn't.
Howard Schnellenberger made it big time.
He made it.
They
didn't want to let him in.
Years.
Only the Fiesta Bowl, being a rebel and being ambitious, gave Miami a place to play.
It is time to take the pulse of the populace in mail time. Let me see what's first. Put on my glasses to read this. Here we go. The Falcons canned Raheem Morris. The Browns dumped Kevin Stefanski. The Cardinals dismissed Jonathan Gannon. And the Raiders fired Pete Carroll after just one season. Were all of these firings deserved?
I don't know about deserved. They were all understandable except one, Raheem Morris. The Atlanta Falcons and the GM handed him a stupidly complex situation.
That's right.
Made of his own,
That's right.
I don't know, arrogance when they did the quarterback situation that they did. They go out and they sign Kirk Cousins to $800 billion, and then they go and draft the kid out of Washington. So, Raheem Morris, no, you went 4 in a row. Don't tell me you're blaming me, because these guys are playing for me. They are. They have not let go of the rope, to use that cliche. Gannon, Carroll, Stefanski, you understand it. This is the profession they've chosen. Stefanski was a 2-time Coach of the Year, but they look so awful. Seems like he's going to get a job right away. Pete Carroll should be saying, I'm relieved to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, so I'm going to piggyback on what you said. I'll tell you a guy that deserved to be fired. That is the Atlanta general manager.
Yes.
He made an unbelievable mess out of the quarterback situation. They spent a lot of money on Kirk Cousins. Then you antagonize Kirk Cousins by drafting Michael Penix. This year they told Kirk Cousins, just sit down, get out of here, and they gave the job completely to Michael Penix, who was 3-6 when he got hurt. Cousins came in, went 5-3, including, I believe, the last 4 in a row, proving that he should have been the quarterback all along. So firing that guy was fine. I would not have fired Raheem Morris either. I understand that they're sweeping clean. I wouldn't have done it. Pete Carroll, I get it. That franchise is completely lost. Yeah. I would have changed in Arizona, but I absolutely would not have fired Stefanski because the ownership there put him in a terrible quarterback situation for years. Yes. And it looks like Shedeur Sanders is a pro quarterback or can be a pro quarterback.
It can be, but they got picks, and they're going to go get another guy to play quarterback. By the way, there's a guy named Watson who they owe $74 million next season. You think he won't be first on the depth chart when they get to whatever it is, OTAs?
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Here, this is for you.
I have no glasses, but I think I can pull it off.
It's all right.
Sack record, Tone. What's the word for the sack that got Myles Garrett the single season record?
My word is turtling. It appeared that Joe Burrow thought he had a shell on his head, and he just sat down. This was not necessarily Brett Favre 2, but it was close enough. Now, Myles Garrett is a great player, Myles Garrett has more sacks at the age of 30 than Reggie White did. 17 more sacks.
That's amazing.
He is a legitimate MVP candidate if his team had won more games. But this was not an artistic sack to get for the record. So I hope he breaks it again next year with something more aesthetically pleasing. And part of me wishes he was somewhere other than Cleveland, where, again, the ownership had just destroyed the offense.
Where the sack record itself, not him, but the record seems irrelevant because you don't, you really have to find Myles Garrett on a Sunday to see him play. And that's too bad because one of the great players, maybe the best defensive player of his generation. But, Tony, you know what? It's interesting. I had Uber producer Matt Kelleher, New England's own, look up the number of times Tom Brady had been sacked in his career. You realize this? How many would you say, by the way?
Well, he played 20 years.
How many times did you say Tom Brady sacked?
80.
How about 560?
No, I would never have said 560. 560?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, out of those 560,
how many times did he sit?
You realize that Tom Brady did that Joe Burrow thing.
Yeah, that's right.
500.
Okay, but did anybody set a record on a sack of Tom Brady?
I don't know.
That's why you remember it. You remember the Strahan and Favre. Yes, you remember it because it breaks the record.
But then, I mean, Joe Burrow needs more injuries. Joe Burrow can't just go down and say, pull a flag.
That's fine. I'm just saying that from an aesthetic standpoint, what you want is somebody to come in, wrap up, and lay down. By the way,
I know you're watching, Red Zone.
That's my last week.
To Tom Brady.
Red Zone's over.
Do you watch a whole game with Tom Brady?
I have heard him. I think he's good.
Great.
I think he's very good.
Great.
Enough email. Let's take one last break. Still to come. Who's the big winner of the college quarterback carousel?
And what are we to make of the once unbeatable Thunder now that they've lost 5 of 11?